Okay, something different today. I'm at In2moto and I've had a look around the showroom and I thought to myself, out of all of the bikes inside, if I could choose one bike to take out and go for a ride, what would I pick? Now there's a lot of bikes in there. You've seen the bikes, the reviews I come out with pretty much a couple a week. There's a lot of bikes inside. So which bike out of all of them did I want? Out of all the bikes inside In2moto, and there are loads, this was the bike that I really wanted to ride. And I have been on a Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 before. In fact, I was the first, if not one of the first, to ride one of these in the UK, so my review got out nice and early. And I've not been on one since. So when I've seen this in the showroom, I just had to. I had to. So this is for sale with In2moto. Now, it's a year old. So because of that, it's cheaper than a new one. The price is currently £5,299. So it's cheaper than a new one. But you've got to look at the big picture with these bikes. If you're buying a used one, this one has not got 1,000 miles on it. It's just under. So that means it's had its first service, so you don't have to pay for that. You're already saving money when you buy a used bike, but this is a used bike with barely any miles. So somebody's run it in for you, somebody's run the tyres in, so the tyres aren't brand new, so that makes them a little bit better and stickier for the road. So that's been done. Someone's paid for the first service. That's been done. Somebody has paid the on-the-road costs. That's another, I think, £250 to get your registration plate, logbook, all that stuff. So that's been done as well. So you've saved quite a lot of money on the price of the bike, but also those things as well. So that for me makes this bike a used bike bargain. I'm not going to go into all the specifications, all of that stuff, because I've already done that on this bike. So if you're interested in the full review, then I'll put a link in the description for the full review of the bike that I went on what seems like so long ago now. I can't remember if I had her or not on that one. I can't remember, but it was ages ago I did that bike. We'll have a look round. I'll just point at some of the nice bits. For a cruiser, the seat height I think is quite high. I can flat foot it, but only just. I love cruiser position. Legs forward, back straight, not stretching for the bars. I've got a bit of a bend in my arms. It is my comfortable place as far as riding goes. I don't think I've ever found another bike as comfortable as a cruiser, and this, it just has all of the elements for it. It's beautiful, beautiful riding position. By the way, I put my hat here, but that's another plus for me. Got this little backrest for your rear passenger, and it's quite a nice chunky seat. I'll show you. You've got loads of room there for a rear passenger. It's a nice big comfortable seat, and the security of the backrest. Put my lid back there. Actually, a brilliant little stand for the lid. Close up of the bike. What a beautiful thing. Now this bike does come with the shad panniers as well, so it is ready to go. It has got the Bybri brakes, it's got all of the stuff that the bike come with as standard, such as the windscreen at the front as well. It is a lovely thing, this. The twin chrome pipes out the back as well. That is the most comfortable seat I think I've ever been on. It's so plush, really comfortable. Showa forks. I remember the first time this bike arrived, and it was the first time for me that I saw Royal Enfield up in the game with premium parts like the Showa forks, like the Bybri brakes. I'd never seen that before with Royal Enfield. I always considered them to be a bit of a budget brand up until that point. They were using a lot of things on the bike that for me just took it up a notch. So the older bikes I always thought were a bit classic looking, but they were always relatively cheap to buy, in fact very cheap to buy. And this for me was like the first premium bike that I'd encountered from Royal Enfield. Now I know since this time they've brought a few other bikes out. They've brought out the Shotgun, the new Himalayan. They've kind of, and you can see where they've upped the game with each bike, but this for me was the first one that I actually thought it's a proper bike, still really good value. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go for a little ride on this bike, and I'm going to try my best to convince you why you should consider buying one of these bikes. Let's go. I'm sure it's going to ride just like a new bike. However, I wanted to make sure, because Royal Enfield they're at the cheaper end of the market, aren't they, as far as bikes go? And a lot of people consider cheap bikes to be bikes that don't last. Now, Royal Enfield are a well-established brand, I get that, but this bike's a year old, it's been used, it still looks new, and to be fair, I like them. That's another reason why I wanted to ride it. Before I've even started, just sitting on this bike, I'm already thinking, what an absolute comfortable armchair of a bike. I've seen this bike in In2moto for a couple of weeks now, and every time I've come in, I've seen this bike get quite a lot of attention. I think a couple of people, I'm sure, have tried to buy it, and for whatever reason, finance being rejected or whatever, it's just not being sold. I suppose people have tried. Oh, do you know what? I'm in my special place. I really am. I've not ridden a cruiser what seems like for ages now. Harley Davidsons, I love the sound of them, but they rust to pieces. They really do. I've had one, I can say it. It doesn't matter how much you protect them, there's so many things just corrode on them, and I just don't understand how a Harley can rust so quickly when something like this doesn't, which is about a third of the price of the cheapest Harley Davidson. In fact, that's exactly what it is. It's about a third of the price. And it's not a third of the bike. I would probably pick this over the cheapest Harley Davidson. In fact, there's no probably would, I definitely would. It's got a nice noise without it being too obnoxious and blurry. It's actually quite a nice sounding bike. It's so comfortable. At a little over £5,000, yeah, it's not cheap, but it's a bike that you could go touring on and you'd feel cool and comfortable throughout, and you could ride on this bad boy all day long and it would keep you smiling and comfortable all day. Absolutely no doubt about that at all. It's actually quite good as well. When you're going around the bends, this bike, it does feel like there's quite a lot of lean to it. Lean over quite a lot. It doesn't feel like you have to go really, really slowly around the bends. And you can pick up speed. Quite quickly. Wow. Down to 50. Having ridden all of the Royal Enfield 650s, having been on them all, I prefer the look of the Super Meteor. I prefer the price as well. It's certainly fast enough for me. In fact, for cruisers, it's fast enough. Because I know that, you know, people have cruisers, and a lot of people have cruisers, and they want a fast cruiser, and they want to go really quick, and blah 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 blah. However, it's a cruiser. You're meant to cruise. It's in the name. The whole point of these bikes is the relaxed position. It's the slowing down kind of mentality that you should have when you have a cruiser. You're supposed to go slowly. You're supposed to watch the world go by and just be comfortable and just take in the scenes. Not try and get your knee down or try and go as fast as you possibly can to see how quick you can break the sound barrier. Look at this, just bimbling round, 20 mile an hour round a roundabout. I'm not in a rush, and that's something why I love cruisers. And it's one of the main reasons I would urge anybody to go out and buy a cruiser. And this is where you've got to stick with me now, because I know a lot of people out there will say, oh no, cruisers, no chance. Right. When you ride a motorcycle, you can ride quickly. And you can ride quickly on a cruiser as well. I wouldn't say it's the best bike for it, no it's not. But if you need to blow the cobwebs off, you can give it the beans a little bit. You can do it. Right. But you don't need to on a cruiser. That's the whole point of these bikes. You can go for a little jolly ride and just sit there and take in the sights, and you can be comfortable, and you've got your feet forward, and you can have a little stretch out, and you've just got this lovely position where your back is up straight, you're not leaning forward, your arms aren't stretching, there's a nice little bend in them. It's just everything makes for such a comfortable bike to ride. And it will protect your license as well. I got to point that out, because so many people will, myself included, you get onto a sports bike or even a quick adventure bike and you can't help yourself but give it the beans, and every time you do, you're potentially putting your license at risk. Whereas with a cruiser, you're not in that position. You're not in a position where you are bent over and you're like, come on, let's go as fast as I can, I want to beat everything. You don't do it. You're just sat there just going, what a lovely day. It's nice and dry. I'm nice and warm. It's just a beautiful ride. I'm taking in the greenery, the farm fields. I'm taking in, what have we got there? A random plane in a garden. Yeah, weird, but you know, I'm taking it in. Whereas if I was on a sports bike, I'd be bent forward thinking, let's get my race line, let's try and hit the apex going round this bend, let's try and see how fast I can take it. You don't do it on a cruiser. I'm sure there'll be people that do, however I don't, because I just don't feel it necessary. I'm not in a rush to be anywhere. I'm not in a hurry. I'm happy just bimbling, and yeah, I've got no problems at all. No worries. I am just thinking about this lovely ride. I'm looking at that corner ahead thinking, oh, nice little waft around the bend. I'm looking, oh, it's just a lovely place. I think a lot of the time when we go riding, especially if you're on something quick, you miss where you are. You're just too focused on going fast and taking the bend perfectly, and just, yeah, you're having fun and you're having a whale of a time. I know you are, because I've done it. But when you're on a cruiser, it's just more about the relaxed, chilled out ride. I'm a big believer, and I will constantly tell people that if you are suffering with any sort of mental health, that motorcycles for me are just amazing when it comes to mental health and just switching off to all your problems. They're brilliant for it. But cruisers take a whole new dimension, because you're still thinking about the road and the journey, but you're not going hell for leather. You're not going stupid speeds. You're not putting your license at risk. You just chill and relax, and we all need to chill and relax. We really do need to chill and relax more. There's enough stresses with work and family life and all of the issues that go along with that. Cheating exes and divorces and breakups, we've all done it, we've all dealt with it. But get on a cruiser and just go and ride to anywhere, to nowhere, to just go and ride for riding's sake. You know, it just takes everything away and you don't think about it, you just relax, and that is where I am with this. It's so unbelievably comfortable. I'm just so chilled out. It's reminiscing a little bit for me, because when I first got involved and I suppose when In2moto first came to my attention, was because they were a Royal Enfield dealer at the time. I wanted to test ride some before I was doing this YouTube game properly, when I was still, I'm still playing at it, I suppose, but when I was more playing at it, when it was more like a casual, I'd put a video out maybe once a week or once every other week, or I was putting videos out, but not as regular and not as consistent as I am now. But I was putting videos out, and I wanted to try the Royal Enfield range, and I went into In2moto. They just got the Meteor 350 in and the Classic 350. They had that, the Interceptors and the Continentals. A month's worth of videos just with those bikes. So I thought, oh, I need to go and test ride a few bikes. Now, as it happened, I think I test rode maybe an Interceptor, and then at the time, because I was kind of being sneaky with my test rides, I was being very sneaky with my test rides. I was going from dealership to dealership, and I wouldn't advise doing this, but at the time I felt it was the only way to get these videos out. I was pretending to be a customer, and whilst I'm going to just put this out there, I'm always looking for my next bike, or at the time I was always looking for my next bike. So I was test riding with a view to picking my next bike. However, I was test riding at least a bike a week, maybe, not like, or maybe a bike every other week. I was test riding bikes, but I was playing the I'm looking for a bike now, I want to ride a bike. So yeah, so I went into In2moto, and then I went and tried another one somewhere else, and then somewhere else, and then I went back to In2moto, and they basically caught me out. They caught me doing all of these test rides. They caught me doing them all. They asked me to come down for a meeting, because they caught me doing all these test rides at other MotoGP shops. And they basically said, you know, they were willing to help my channel grow, and they were willing to let me ride more of their bikes. So the first thing I did was go through pretty much all of the Royal Enfield bikes. I went through all of them. The Himalayan, the Scram, the Interceptor, the Conti, the Classic 350, the Meteor 350, and then the Hunter came out, and I was really fortunate because I got that bike before anybody else did in the country. I was the first person to ride the Hunter 350 in the UK, and I just, yeah, absolute brilliant. It was I mean, looking back at the video, I'd like to think I've improved from then, but at the time, you know, it was a really big video for me. It was a video that took off that I'd not really had before, because my channel at the time was tiny. It was a small channel of I think I'd just maybe got a little over 1,000 subscribers, and I took the Hunter out, and the Hunter, I got like 500 subscribers in like the space of a week or something. It was like, oh my god, it's took me about a year to get to 1,000, and I've just got another 500 in a week. But I did that because I got the Hunter nice and early, and then when this come out, when the Super Meteor come out, again, I was really fortunate to get the Meteor, one of the first, if not the first in the country to get a go of it. Beastly. I just seen this today and had to take it out because it is a bit nostalgic. It is the brand that started it all off for me, and true to my first ever ride of one of these bikes, they're brilliant. They really are great bikes. Out of all the 650 range that I've been on from Royal Enfield, I'm gonna say it, the Super Meteor is my favourite. It's the most comfortable bike. I think it looks the coolest as well. Let me know what you think, but I think it does look the coolest. Quite a good saving on this bike, and it's still as new. It rides like an absolute dream. If I had the money, I would buy this. I'd buy this myself. I love these bikes, love them. So it's going to be another sad one to hand the keys back, but it is for sale at In2moto. Somebody gets to take this beauty home, and they'll be lucky because it is absolutely lovely. And on that, I'm going to go and give the keys back. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Laters.